against police. We just saw in the last 20, 30 seconds about a dozen officers with zip ties ready to make arrests. There is a wall of police about 5, 6 deep. I heard police chanting out, fill it in, indicating that the protesters were really pushing through the police line, and officers needed help in order to double back and make sure the protesters didn't push through. It's a very chaotic scene over my shoulder. The protesters just got here about 5 minutes ago. There was a lot of yelling, a lot of commotion. I'm not sure there have been any arrests just yet. Hang on one second. It looks like there's yes. The bicycle officers have left, and right now officers are using their batons to hold the line here on Tryon Street. It's clear that the protesters are trying to push down Tryon Street, and whereas we just saw bicycle officers having the front line, those bicycle officers just moved, and now it's officers standing shoulder to shoulder with the batons. They are now the line of defense. I'm going to take just a few seconds to listen to this chaos and confusion right now. All right, as you can see, many of the protesters are now raising their hands in the air, indicating they don't have weapons. But you can see there are about 70 protesters at least right now pushing up against officers. There are drums banging. They are chanting things. But really, there are more officers arriving every second. Again, the bicycle officers have now left. They were the first line of defense as these protesters moved down the street for about a mile from Marshall Park. But now those bicycle officers have moved, and these officers carrying the billy clubs are now standing shoulder to shoulder. They appear to be at least 3 deep. Hang on, the protesters are moving again. I think, Holly, this is now a good time to send it back to you. As you can see, they are moving. We're going to move right along with them, and then when they stop again, I'll call in, and hopefully we can get another live report to you. For now, in Uptown Charlotte, Jeff Smith, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Thanks, Jeff, for bringing us those live pictures and the latest on the protests. We've been monitoring the situation with protests throughout the day and throughout the evening. This latest one on Tryon and Stonewall Street. We were told that they blocked an intersection there. Police were out there with their batons. From what Jeff is seeing, he expects some arrests to come, and we will bring you any updates coming up on Eyewitness News at 10 on our sister station, TV 64.
That's right, Blair, but before we take you inside the arena, I want to take you out to the streets of Uptown Charlotte.
Right now, dozens of protesters are on the move from the area where they've been staging at Marshall Park, and once again, there is a huge police presence surrounding them, Natalie.
Eyewitness News reporter Jeff Smith is among all the protesters. Jeff, where are they heading right now?
Right now, they just crossed Bank of America Stadium. You can see them over my shoulder still marching. 80 of the 80 protesters, I would say, they've marched from Marshall Park down Stonewall Street. Now they're curving around Graham Street here. The numbers have dissipated a little bit. I'm not sure if there were any arrests. It doesn't appear so, but there were a lot of officers pushing back against the crowd. Conservatively, I would estimate about 400 officers here, dozens of them on bikes, as well as officers standing shoulder to shoulder with batons to prevent those protesters from crossing closer to Uptown Charlotte, to the Time Warner Cable Arena, where the DNC is on right now. As you can see,
Well, Jeff, thank you. Police made 13 arrests earlier in the day, 10 of them at one spot not far from the arena where we are tonight. We are back now showing you live pictures of protesters and the police response. We understand this is from Trade and Graham Street in Uptown Charlotte. You can see the police response here right now. Earlier today, there were 13 arrests in Uptown. We don't know if there have been any arrests in this situation right now, but we have a number of crews watching it for you, and we will keep updates throughout this newscast. Thank you, Steve. We're going to get back to that protester situation we've been watching here tonight, happening in Uptown Charlotte.
That's right. It's happening at 5th and Graham right now. That's where we're finding Eyewitness News reporter Jeff Smith. Jeff, what are you seeing? I know you've been following the protesters.
That's right. Now, they've walked for more than a mile, and there seems to be a standoff right now at 5th and Graham. Take a look over my shoulder. There's about 80 protesters surrounded by police. There's about 150, 200 officers. They're using a bullhorn to address the crowd. I can't see if anyone's being arrested or if there's any direct confrontation, but I've been following them for about the last hour, and at this moment, they are now surrounded. So we're going to stay right here and see if anything develops. Again, officers have completely surrounded about 80 protesters at 5th and Graham. Not sure what's about to happen, but we will stay here and give you any updates about the end of this protest as soon as I see them happen. For now, we're live, still in Uptown, following these protesters. Jeff Smith, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Jeff, thank you. And as we've been watching these protests and demonstrations over today and the last couple of days, Chief Murrow said he really wanted to watch from afar. They didn't want to make too many quick actions, and it looks like that's what they're trying to do right now, at least from where we're standing.
All right, Holly, thanks. Also following that developing story of the protesters slowly marching through Uptown, clashing with police as well.
Let's show you what we're seeing right now. In this video we're about to show you, can see hundreds of police in a line formation marching down the street there. Police even have a line of vans and bicycles around the demonstrators. We're told the Wall Street South protesters are at 5th and Graham, and police have completely surrounded them. This march started around 9:20, and our crews right now are following this until it's over.
Right now, we want to go to Eyewitness News reporter Jeff Smith outside with an update on the protester situation.
Well, Nally, right now there are still maybe about 30 protesters behind these officers, pressed up against that police line, chanting at them, telling them, that there's no reason for them to be held up like this. I haven't seen any arrests, but these protesters are pushing back against police. So far, you can see just how many officers there are, at least 200 officers behind the protesters. And
looks like we may have lost that signal there, but we're going to stay on top of that, and we have a number of crews out there right now. It is a serious situation. Another big story is what's happening outside this arena right now. Dozens of protesters, they are marching through Uptown Charlotte.
Quite a contrast to what's going on in here. And once again, there are more than 50 police officers surrounding those protesters. Eyewitness News reporter Jeff Smith is out there with them. Jeff, where are they heading now?
Apparently, we're having some problem there communicating with Jeff.
Appears
but we'll see
police have guided these protesters to make almost a complete loop of Uptown back to Marshall Park. They are walking down 11th Street. Hundreds of officers here. So far, there have been no arrests, no real instances of violence, and we are going to continue to follow these protesters and see where they end up. For now, we're live in Uptown Charlotte. Jeff Smith, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Now, as Jeff told us, a lot of activity, as we saw in that shot, a lot of activity out there, but he said so far no arrests at that protest.
Let's show you some more video, because as you can see, dozens and dozens of officers are keeping a close eye on those protesters, as you can see in this video. Earlier today, police arrested 13 people.
Well, despite that rain out there, protesters are still active tonight.
They seem to be getting more and more active as the day goes on, too. Let's go back to Eyewitness News reporter Jeff Smith. He is with those protesters tonight. Jeff?
Well, Blair, we've been following these protesters for 2.5 hours now. They started at Marshall Park and have done a giant loop around Uptown. They clearly were trying to get to Time Warner Cable Arena, where you are and where the DNC action is, but police met them at every intersection. At the start of the march earlier tonight, they were pretty physical with police. We saw a little pushing and shoving and yelling between them. It appeared they were ready to make arrests, but I'm not sure that actually happened. And then with each successive intersection, a little bit more protesters kind of tapered off. Now, just over my shoulder, is only about 30 of them left, and it appears they're walking around 11th Street back to Marshall Park. And even though the protesters have died down over the last 2.5 hours, the number of police officers have swelled, Blair. There were hundreds of them on bikes, and then when the scene got too intense, when the pushing and shoving got very passionate, the bike officers left, and then officers 3 or 4 deep, shoulder to shoulder, with the billy clubs in their hands, ready to make arrests. It didn't come to that tonight, but these protesters are still moving. They appear to be headed back to Marshall Park. We've been following them all night long. So far, it has been peaceful, and the police presence has been overwhelming. We're live in Uptown. Jeff Smith, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
All right, a lot of energy out there tonight, and then certainly inside here, high energy, this arena. Again, those protesters still active like they have been throughout much of the night. We have some video to show you of those protests that have been going on throughout the day, still going on at this hour into the darkness. We have Eyewitness News reporter Jeff Smith out there covering that angle for us.
He's saying the group is dwindling, maybe 30 protesters left. It is dying down, but police, they are out there watching, and so are we. We will keep an eye out for you here tonight.